Thank you very much, QuickShot. I am, of course, joined by the victorious Fen. So 3 games, kind of crazy games as well. The first thing I want to ask is just how are you feeling after that series?
I mean, I'm happy we won, right? We beat every team so far, and Misfits was a good team, and it's nice to beat the second best team in your group and everything, but at the same time, our games were not very good. I think in Game 2, our lane swap was really bad, and we kind of screwed up in the lane swap. We got caught mid, and the game was very messy. In Game 3, I think we had a pretty good game overall. We played our win condition pretty well, and I think we played the entire game very good until the point where we were dying a little bit here and there. I got insect, which I feel very embarrassed about, but I mean, yeah, I think Game 1 and 3 were good on our part, and our lane swap was really not that good.
All right, so looking at that, how did you adjust coming into Game 3? What was the discussion like around the team when it came to kind of correcting what went wrong in Game 2?
Ban Nautilus. That was like the TLDR of the discussion, was ban Nautilus and play same kind of like competition if we could. But they first picked the Malzahar, not first picked the Malzahar, but they got the Malzahar. So we changed up our draft a little bit with the Caitlyn, because you can pressure lane very hard before level 6. As you saw, we got the bot tower in this game, very early in the game, which kind of nullifies Malzahar's level 6 power spec if his tower dies before level 6. So, yeah.
One thing that I noticed is you were constantly on the front line. You brought up kind of that insect play, the one circumstance where it feels like you got caught out. But where do you get the confidence to play so far forward as Caitlyn in these games?
I mean, I have my fair share of experience with playing frontline AD carry comps. Even back in 2015, I was playing these kind of comps with Kog'Maw, Kalista, Jinx at Worlds 2015. So I kind of know what it means to be the frontline AD carry when you have Orianna or Lulu or Cillian, you know, these kind of champs that can buff you up and speed you up. And if you play well, there's nothing that can kill you, except for a good insect kick, which is my fault. But if I play it well, there's nothing I can do. I can hit towers, I can poke them, and they can't do anything about it if I play it correctly. But yeah.
All right, well, G2 clearly still the top team in Europe, but Misfits, H2K, Unicorns of Love, these guys are all playing games and doing quite well as well. I want your opinion on who's number 2 right now. If G2 is number 1, what is the second best team in Europe?
Well, I was going to say H2K, but they got 2-0'd by Unicorns just before our match, so I'm not sure what to say, because I thought H2K was the best team. They have good players, good macro, they seem like a solid overall team, but they lost to Unicorns, so I guess it's like us, then a tier of Unicorns, H2K, and Misfits, and then I think Splice, then Fnatic, and then the rest.
All right, final question to kind of round this out. You guys at the top, continuously winning. No one's beaten you in a series. How do you guys stay focused on improving when you're so dominant in Europe as a region?
I think we have lots to learn. It's hard to learn when you're the best, but I don't think we're that much better than everyone else. I think we learn every day. We play in scrims, and LCS we learn a lot more as well. I think today we have a lot of things to learn from, so I think it's not that hard to learn. I think we're not that much better than everyone else, just slightly better.
All right, well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Congrats again on remaining undefeated. That's going to do it from us. We're going to toss things over to the post-game lobby with the top laners to break down the day.
Welcome everybody to the post-game lobby, where I'm joined by the Fisho, Vizicachi, and H2K's Odewamne to take a look back at tonight's games. You guys just came off the top lane specific stream right over there. You guys were having a lot of fun, it sounded like. Is there anything you can share? Of course, everyone's going to watch it again for all the hilarious jokes, but were there any memorable moments?
No, we had some personal moments between me and the Fisho.
Yeah,
I suggest everyone should just watch it.
Like, I actually had to almost break up with him on air and just kind of.
I mean, we did.
It's a friendship thing, kind of thing, you know.
Is it?
We're just friends for now.
All right, I also heard things about monkeys and whatnot, so definitely go watch out that VOD. But looking back at our final series of the evening, a nail-biter in the end. G2, they won. Their streak is still on. But Misfits, they came incredibly close. We were watching it at Vizicachi. We're watching it here together. It didn't seem like Misfits had a chance in it, so how come it became so close?
Actually, they had some team fights where they came really close to beating G2. It was mostly thanks to Alfari TPing behind, or like getting a Foreman ultimate and such. So he was playing really good on there.
Yeah, on our stream, my 2 experts, air quote, were basically saying this game is over, like at 20 minutes, there's nothing that can happen in this game. I tried to teach them like the cast of fake hype, you know, being like, hey guys, believe. And we actually got a few. We got a few comebacks.
It was over like 20 minutes later.
It was technically over, but we got a few comebacks.
Yeah, you
almost.
got a few comebacks. It was very close to G2. So the question here is, Sven had an interview just now. I don't think you guys just heard it, but he said, well, yeah, we're still the best, obviously, because we're undefeated, but we're only slightly better. So for you guys who are going into playoffs, most likely, and meeting them at some point, maybe, is G2 more beatable now that they were for all of last year, Vischachi?
That's a tough question, but I think I would say yes, because I feel like the last series we played against them, we had our chances to beat them, and I'm really looking forward to face them again, because I feel like the scores that they scored against us, like the games that they scored against us, were a bit unjust, because we had this second game where we should have won. Like IEM, I felt like we are controlling the games, and we still fell behind and lost. So I think next time we meet them and we just avoid these little mistakes, I think we can actually come out on top.
Right, Odawamne?
I just think they're like on form most of the time, because I feel like other EU teams, like for example us or Unicorns of Love, I think when we're on form we're really, really good, but when we're not, we're kind of like just a lot worse than them. So I think they just have this, their form is always like consistent. Like I think, for example, when us peak, or maybe you all when they peak, we're maybe better than them, but I think they just like, they're always like on this really good trend.
Is their form consistent despite not all of the individual members performing at their top level?
I mean, yeah, I think that kind of shows it as a team. Like the team play from them, also the draft. It's so rare. I feel like you see a draft from G2 and you're like, man, this is really bad. You know, you're not going to win with this. And then I feel like the calls in the mid to late game so often, while internationally they can go wrong, like in Europe, very often they're good enough to always at least trade or get a slight advantage, which is what we see so often if they do fall behind. So taking them down in 2 games in a row just seems to be really difficult, because you can't rely on individual players misplaying 2 games in a row.
No, you can't, and they're still undefeated there. We'll see how that evolves. I also want to turn my attention again to the series that you guys played in the beginning of the day. 2-0 for the Unicorns of Love over H2K. Vischachi was player of the series in that one, but you might not have heard that. Vischachi said it was very up and down. He got the upper hand in game 1, but then game 2 you got the upper hand, and it didn't work out for H2K. How do you look back on the series?
I think I can't really say that we are like not prepared. I just think our form today wasn't good, and I know it's kind of like a weird excuse. It's just I can't really explain. I think our week was pretty good, and then yesterday something kind of like went off, and we just started like playing worse and worse. So I think like today it just kind of like it was just a build-up, because like we had a really good week, and then it started going bad, and then it just kind of like came crashing down today.
And Unicorns of Love had a really good day.
Yeah, we also had a really good preparation coming into this series. We were screaming all the top teams from the other group, and we had good results as well. So it just showed up on the stage too.
I have to ask you guys, because you talk so much about like the consistency and G2 always like playing at almost the same level, and then you guys going up and down. Like, I assume you guys haven't figured out why you're both like either not on form or really on form, because then I assumed you would have fixed it, or is it not possible to fix?
I think it comes down to like confidence a lot of times, because, for example, after IEM, I felt like our players lost a bit of confidence because we are not really used to defeats. And the G2 was like the first team that beat us in a series in the LCS, and it a bit fell apart after IEM because we were like playing really good teams there. And after we lost against Misfits as well, so we just kind of needed this confidence to be restored in the other weeks. So we needed some time, I think, to just find back to the right path.
Yeah, for you guys, Odawamne, after IEM, actually everything went on an upward trend. We were looking at the stats in terms of your late game. You cut 5 minutes off your average game time. You had a lot of wins, and everything seemed shored up. And then in that second game, it came back to the throw around Baron and those late game things. So is that kind of worrying for you guys? And is that the main priority going forward to fix?
I don't think it's a worry or a main priority, just because I know that if we're like playing normally, like we fixed those issues. But I think what happened to us was kind of like a mentality issue. I think this week we kind of got complacent, just because we had such good weeks and scrims were like going really, really, really well for us. And then we kind of just got complacent, I guess. So kind of that's what happened, I guess. Because I don't think our mid and late game on a normal day was bad. Because I think if like the H2K of last week would have showed up this week, I think game 2 was like easily winnable. After that early game, we had like really good leads everywhere, and we had a lot of pressure. And I just think, I don't know, something happened really, really weird for us yesterday, and I think it just like kind of destroyed this week for us.
Right. Yeah, that seemed like the case because all the analysts had you guys pegged as the winners, and I think going off last week. Going off last week, that was also realistic.
I mean, of course, you know, you had, as Chachi talked about, you know, Unicorns were kind of shaky a little bit after IEM, and then you guys obviously were looking really good. So there was that big change because yeah, Misfits beat you guys, and then you beat Misfits pretty easily. So I think it's always fun though with the top 4 teams in Europe right now because they can look so good and then they can look so weak.
What's fun about that?
Time. Well, it's fun because you never know like what's going to happen when they play each other. Right. But obviously, what happens is when they play every other team in the league, you guys tend to win pretty easily. Right now, I'm not sure if you think maybe Splice can come up and challenge the top 4.
Actually, versus Fnatic, we struggled a bit last week.
Okay, but that's because you were shaky, right? I mean, when you're on form, then it's fine. Like I think maybe Splice.
Yeah, I think Splice is.
Splice can come back. I think. Yeah. It's just like their start of the season wasn't that great, and I think last week they had really good games. So I think they kind of like get back into that form they had even like when it approaches playoffs. So like last in summer split we played them in playoffs and they just did really well. And overall their like season that time was pretty good. So I think they can kind of go back to that form they had.
Are our top teams better this split than last split? Like will we have a more competitive playoff?
I think yes. I think maybe when playoffs come, if everything goes according to plan for us, I think we're going to be better than our old version of H2K. And I think you all improved a lot as well than last year. I think their roster this year is way better just individually. And I think their team play is way better than last year as well. So I think there's many teams that can give G2 a run for their money.
Yeah, we'd love to see that. Let's take a look at how the standings look at this particular moment in time after tonight's matches. The Unicorns, they have taken first place in their group after a win, obviously, today, now on 8-2 over H2K at 7-3. And G2 is still undefeated, 10-0. Upcoming matches for both Unicorns of Love and H2K, you're both going to play Splice, OG, and Vitality. So it is very realistic that nothing changes anymore, or nobody leapfrogs anymore, because I don't think you guys should drop a series to those, or is Splice the possible trump card in there?
Yeah, it's unlikely that we will drop series against Vitality or OG, but Splice can be a problem because we saw them winning a game against G2 as well, I think last week.
Yeah.
So Splice is definitely someone we should take really seriously because I actually consider them like a top team.
And obviously you're playing for the bye, whoever ends up first for playoffs. How much are you thinking about that at Omni?
I just think after today's result, it's hard to overcome Unicorns. I think even if they drop a series maybe against Splice and we get like 3-0 against like all our other teams, I'm not sure if it's like game differential or head-to-head, because if it's head-to-head, then you all will just like go over us. But I think right now for us and for me and my team, I just want to like focus on getting back on form for these 3 games, because I feel like every time we played in LCS, we had really good forms, and when playoffs came, we kind of like always crashed. Like we always got off form. So that's kind of what happened today, and I don't want that to kind of happen for playoffs.
Yeah.
And also you guys, like both teams, if you look at the entire last year, they would enter playoffs and then it would kind of fall apart a little bit. You guys obviously were playing for 3rd place. You guys were playing for 3rd place as well, and obviously faced each other. Like this must be the year where one of you 2 guys from Group B will make it all the way to the final and then take on G2, I assume. It would be a massive disappointment otherwise.
Yeah, kind of, because every time we went to playoffs, we always ended up in the 3rd, 4th place match, and we're kind of like, everyone's saying that we're kind of cursed in a way, like Team Liquid in NA. But
different kind of curse.
Kind of, yeah. But I just, it's hard, just because like I think everyone wants to finally stop going out in semis, and I think everyone just wants to go in the final now.
Yeah, without being biased, of course, it would be a nice storyline if someone takes over the throne, because then we have a new rivalry.
Well, I also like the fact that we've had a team that's been so good and so consistently good, because you get rewarded, you know, for that. And every other team wants to try and become what G2 is at the moment, and that's also a very cool storyline. I just want competitive playoff. Like I want full BO5s, especially in the final, because I think it's going to be super hype in Hamburg. Yeah,
definitely in the Barclaycard Arena over there. But top lane week, so let's talk some more top lane.
We talked so much on stream, and it was boring matchups, almost nothing happened.
It was really boring, yeah.
It was like the Nautilus smoke kind.
Yeah, exactly. We were like, oh, no.
Yeah,
but we had a blast over there.
We did.
We heard it. It sounded like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I mean, Chachi, what do you make of these top lane matchups? Like, I feel like I need to see the Camille versus some other carry to get super excited sometimes.
It happened.
Yeah, you saw Camille Renekton, you saw how that went.
I saw that one. It was exciting. It was fun to watch Chachi just kind of destroy Odamne up in that top lane. But like, when you get these tank v tank matchups, it's like as a top laner, you yourself you're probably just thinking about what to do with my team and not what to do individually.
If it's tank versus tank, you just farm it up and then look for the rotations. But I personally prefer the other matchups as well, like going Camille versus Renekton. I like this one because it favors Renekton, but it can still go either way if Camille gets a bit of help and like gets rolling or something.
Yeah, like Renekton just goes off in laning phase really hard. Like in our game, we kind of messed up some ganks, and you just kind of like you didn't really lose much from any ganks just because we messed them up. And then 1v1, you're just like straight up stronger, and you play the matchup well, so it was just hard to like find windows. But like if Camille goes through laning phase and gets her like Trinity Force and Titanic, then if both top laners are even, then Camille will like take over the game really hard, and then Renekton will start being like super useless. But if Renekton gets a lead like that in early laning phase, it's just impossible for Camille.
Right. I think we have a lot of topical questions to that the people sent in, because earlier we asked you guys at home to tweet at us using the hashtag Ask a Top Laner to our guests so we could ask them about their knowledge. And Pumpkin Bat asked, what goes through your mind when you see 4 enemy team members coming at you when you are under tower? And this is something that sadly happens, or 3 members, and sometimes 4 of his Jachi.
That actually happens quite often.
Yeah.
I think you just think about that you should try to take the wave or suicide for the wave or do something about it, because if you take the wave, their pushing power obviously just decreases a lot, and that puts your team ahead in tempo. So you can maybe get a turret or 2. Meanwhile, they get maximum 1, and even if they kill you, it's like not really worth it for them.
See, that's on the one side of the brain. The other side is the big highlight.
Like panicking.
Yeah, come on. I can take these guys.
Yeah,
come on.
we were talking to you beforehand, Chachi, about how he thinks about those trades, like the one that happened, I think, in an H2K game as well, where you got a kill in the return, and you said, well, if it's a 1-for-1, and if I can get it, and if that chance is there, then I am always going to go for that. I think that's a difference between you two. I think you might be more safer in that regard and go, okay, it might be a 1-for-1, but I'm just going to try and not die in the situation. Or is that a wrong perception?
For example, like in normal laning phase, if I can get like a kill on someone and I don't have vision, I won't go for it, because if someone's there, then I just die and then I kind of blow my lead. I just take like the good trade and just set my lane for like the next couple of minutes to just be fine.
Yeah. That is why his Jachi is #1 in the statistical rankings, and no, it's not.
I guess, yeah.
No. I actually wanted to ask you guys about that. If you said, well, obviously it's a good ranking, but
like
it doesn't mean that much to me. And Odamne,
of course he likes the ranking. He's like,
being #1 is
really
fun.
good.
Yeah. But you don't need to be celebrated for that, or specifically.
I mean, I think it's accurate in a way. I think it's kind of like, maybe for like #1 and #2, it's just kind of like what people value over each other. So I kind of think like stats are kind of like representative. I think they're like kind of like a good big image. But if you want to like nitpick it, I think then it starts becoming hard. Yes. If you want to like pinpoint like who's first, who's second, who's third, then it starts kind of being like kind of difficult. Yeah. It's because like there's different factors, and for some people, some factors value more than other people. Because for example, when we did the stats thing, it was like kind of like based on opinions on like what everyone values, and then it kind of made an average.
Right.
And also it counts a lot who is in like which team, because I think in EU we have top 4 or 5 top laners that are round about the equal level, and it's hard to differentiate, and a lot of times it just comes down to like team preferences, how they prefer to play with this team, how much help they get and such.
Yeah, it definitely does. Anything to add there?
No, 100% agree. Like, some teams play around the top lane a lot, some teams don't.
Yep, and we're going to take a look at another tweet, because TS Defiant wants to know how you transition your lead from top lane to the rest of the map without sacrificing your lane. Who wants to take that?
You want me to? Okay.
No, you can take it.
If it's like normal laning phase and the tower doesn't go down, then it's kind of hard, because you always kind of have a trade-off in like pressure and farm to just kind of like transition that to mid lane. But if the tower goes down on top lane, it's a lot easier to just push a wave, and then you have like 30 seconds or 1 minute of like free roaming, So it's like you pretty much need to roam. Once you get like the tower, it's kind of really selfish to sit in lane and try to like, solo enemy under his tier 2. So you kind of just want to like push a wave, get vision, push a wave, go back to roaming. So it's pretty much just that, I guess.
I actually think this is something we saw H2K do at Worlds really well with you, when you played like Jace and all these different top lane picks. And I remember having a long chat with Prolly where he was just always talking about how it's harder for a solo laner when he has a lane advantage to kind of snowball it into everything else because he needs to be proactive. Where if it's the bot lane, the support will always bring wards. So like when you get the support out of lane, he will just ward everything up, and he has already he has some impact right there. Top laner has to roam, you know, as you highlight, and this is something we saw during Worlds when you were actually one of the best performing players. So I think you proved that, and we saw how effective it can be.
Definitely. And last tweet is from Escalona322, asked, what should you do when you're losing lane with a champion that needs to win lane in order to be useful? For example, Riven Fiora. And Vizichachi, you sometimes get in that position because you tend to get camped often, and then it happens again. So how do you keep your cool, and how do you crawl back out of that situation?
Actually, this situation is really hard because if you get behind in a matchup, you're supposed to win, or like that's like your win condition. And if you fall behind, you can't do anything. It's a bit hard. But I would say you should look for TP plays most likely, or wait for your jungler to come and help you out, because TP plays are like the best comeback option. Like there is a fight bot lane, you TP in, you get 2 or 3 kills, then you're instantly back in the game. Otherwise, you are most likely not going to win your lane anyways because you are just behind. Maybe your jungler can help you out, or mid laner roams, you try to freeman dive him, something like that. I think these are your options.
The big plays.
What do you do in solo queue? Because you can't always set up the TP
just
play.
abandon the lane and try to roam.
Okay, you just leave. Okay, you just roam. Okay.
All right, we also have I wanted to ask something. So I actually wanted to have you guys talking about each other and each other's strengths in a couple of different fields. Maybe pure laning. What do you guys think of each other when you play each other in lane? Who might have the upper hand in bullying? Wow, it's analytical.
Look in the eyes.
I think in first game, I felt like you were maybe a bit nervous. I wasn't sure about the Camille trades early on. But I think in the second game, you pretty much played the lane perfectly with Rumble. Not sure if it's like comfort champs or maybe, I'm not sure.
Like first game, it's just, I kind of got used to like playing with Renekton's that are like not aggressive or like not playing the trades properly, you know? So I would just like get away with the lane, like going equal most of the time. So it kind of just got like hard when you started playing like the lane as you're supposed to. So then it just kind of got like really, really hard for me to do much. And the second game is just like, I think I just got counterpick. So I just played as aggressive as I should. And most of the time I knew where jungler was. So there was like kind of no threat on me. Because like, for example, you guys did the raids red golems and then he bases because he can't gank me. So I don't even need to ward. I can just play for the first 5 minutes in your tower and nothing will ever happen to me. So it's kind of like that, I guess.
What about in general, aside from this series, in terms of laning?
I think Kodamne plays generally really solid. Like the laning phase, the TPs, everything is usually on point. So I think
Yeah, TPs was my second one, but apparently nothing but praise for each other from the top laner.
Now kiss.
Only with you.
Damn, I told you we're friends.
Moving on then, we have one more day of matches to close out week 8 of the spring split. It's going to be Roccat versus Giants and Splice versus Origin. Now, 2 days ago, you might have said, oh, Roccat versus Giants, okay, bottom of the table clash, maybe not the most interesting, but boom, Roccat, they leapfrogged over Giants the other day after getting their 3rd straight win over Fnatic, so that's a very interesting matchup.
Yeah, and I love that both teams on Twitter, they don't talk about playing each other for like avoiding relegation, they talk about catching Fnatic.
Yeah.
So I think all the Fnatic members are going to sit and watch this game and be like, damn, you know, if Rocket wins, they're going to tie Fnatic on overall wins in the standings, and then it gets really scary. Giants obviously want to win, obviously, to avoid promotion tournament as well.
It does get scary, but you guys are over in the other group, and if you look at that, okay, Misfits, obviously, very strong team, G2, undefeated team, but it looks like whatever team comes out there and does still make it in playoffs might not be the hardest opponent and might not have that big of a chance in playoffs, or is that a bit too harsh for me, Vizichachi?
Probably not, because in Group A, the top 2 teams are G2 and Misfits, and I don't think anyone else can really like be up at their level.
Yeah.
So I think Group B is like stronger in that
On the
way.
other side.
Yes.
It's kind of the same story for us, though, because like whoever's gonna get 3rd, it's probably gonna be Splice, you know. But like if it's gonna be Origin or Vitality, it's kind of like the same story for the other group. Like they won't really like care, you know, who goes 3rd. It's kind of, but I guess the only
Splice is way better than Origin Vitality.
Like for us, it's different story. Just kind of like Splice is kind of locked in to 3rd maybe. So there's still like a tough opponent, but I guess for Group A, it's kind of like I still think Fnatic is better, but I think they're just kind of like overall weaker than our bottom 3.
Yeah.
Do you think Fnatic finds their footing in time?
I don't think they have enough time. Like, that's kind of the problem. I think they're still trying to figure out what is our problems, and then they also have to figure out how do we fix our problems. You got 3 weeks. And it's not like the rest of the teams are just going to do nothing. You know, they're obviously going to work a lot, and they already have the foundation. They have a lot of things working for them. So I think going into playoffs, no matter who gets second place in your group, you're going to win the quarterfinal against, is it Fnatic, is it Rocket, is it Giants? And I actually think Splice have a pretty fair chance against Misfits. I think it would be a fairly close series, and there might be a world where Group B ends up sending 3 teams to the top 4 in playoffs. Wow. Not saying it will happen, but I think there's a chance.
We'll see. In any case, it will be very, very exciting. I want to thank you guys for joining us today, Top Lane Stream, and you for joining us on the analyst desk, and you for, you know, what you usually do.
Whatever.
Facilitating everything. Thank you guys so much. For us, though, it is time to log out of the post-game lobby. Thank you for watching, and we will see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central European Time as the Top Lane week and week 8 of the Spring Split comes to its conclusion. Have a great night, everybody.
Still here. Samus is going off. Unicorns. They crush the fight. Unicorn love, they get the Baron. They're just going to look to keep the push going. Hill is saying, oh, maybe we're going to start a fight. That's not what you want to do. Don't take the journey. They're going to take the fight, and they're going to take game 1. Little BM to cap it off, taking down members in the Nexus. GG, Unicorns will love. Cersei on the way up. Is Itachi going to flash to safety? Yankos has he overcommitted. Staggering blow. No Titan's Wrath.
Really well played. Okay.
Oh, Yankos, though, maybe the one overextended. Oh. Yankos!
But moments like right now is where the Unicorns look at the force because they can get teleport off.
Eventually, Trouble Team goes in. Bevan's going to go down. Nice pickup.
Hey guys, how do we fight? Because top 9 teams like Nautilus beat in our face and there's nothing we can do.
Not going to work on that blast cone. No freedom to go over the wall. Xerxes now set to fall. That's a jungler down. That's big for H2K. Zillion buying time for the team. Xerxes running into the back line. Vizichachi still up, still alive. Shockwave goes in. It goes wide. That's massive. Unicorns. They're coming in. They're going strong. And H2K, they miss their one shot. That's the double. That's the fight. Unicorns control the game.
Redemption.
That's 1 and 2. Chick's looking for another. And Perks goes down. It's a triple kill for Sven. Ace in the hole for the Quadra. The Nexus is the focus. Ash Arrow comes down, but it's not going to be enough. G2 Esports take down Misfits 1-0. He manages to get it, follows through. Flash and flash. Now Perks is coming. G2, they want first blood.
A lot of chatter from G2 coming out here as well. Oh, look at that.
Perks straight up 1v1's Power of Evil.
Battle wall to go away. Running away, the Scuttle Crab is helping out, blocking off the culling. That's Miffy down.
It's okay, no, I didn't say anything.
Here he goes. He's going forward. Summon a heal. Sven's got 1. That's a shutdown. Gets another.
Holy shit, nice
Misfits, they take down the Nexus turrets. They bounce back after losing game 1. Even up the series and we're going to game 3. I love to yell, the Cocoon! It catches Cacao. The Repel comes out, and Cacao is taken down.
Now we've got no flash. He's making a mistake. That's...
Shield on Sven. Cacao, he's got it. He kicked down Sven. He's got it. Sven's going to go down. He's still alive. Look at the lifesteal. Finally, Sven is taken out. G2 get a double kill. Sven is sent into the fountain, and the tower goes down.